Hello and welcome to Distance Learning. Welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about metering and some ratios and I don't know, some other stuff. A little bit about how your camera meters, a little bit how your handheld meters. I'm going to assume for purposes of this that you own some kind of handheld meter. They're all basically the same. I'm also going to assume that your handheld meter is an incident meter or has the ability to be an incident meter, meaning that it can read the light landing on it. It will probably have some sort of white ball thing called a lumisphere on it somewhere. If that's not the case, it's going to make your life a little bit more difficult. You will just need to figure out a way around that, or get a meter, or if you are near the city, you can come in and check one out. So with that, let's take a look and see what our meters actually do. All right, so I'm going to be showing you my meter. It's a Sekonic L358 something or other. Yours is basically the same. Probably looks a little bit different. Should have the same controls. If you can't find the controls, Google it. If you can't Google it anyway. If Googling it doesn't help you, then reach out and you should be able to figure out a way to make it do these things. Yeah, the answer's out there. I have faith that you can figure it out. So here it is. We can see it has a couple of major controls. It's got my ISO, right? We want to set that to whatever our camera's ISO is. For what we're doing today with metering ratios, the ISO is not super important, but you might as well set it to whatever your camera is anyway. Then we have a f-stop. In this case, it is 2.8. Let me get a pointy thing. I'm going to point with a screwdriver because, you know, that's just what I'm going to do. And then over here, we have our shutter speed, which is 1/200th. That's great. And then the other thing that we have that is important is up here in that corner, you will see a little sun, a lightning bolt, and a lightning bolt with the letter C. For what we're doing, we want it to be on the sun. The other two are for metering flash. We will meter flash at some point in the semester, but we are not going to be doing it now. For me, getting to those settings, changing my ISO, I hold down that ISO button, and then I have this dial. I'm going to leave it at 800. And then right now when I twirl the dial around, my f-stop and shutter speed both change. I'm going to set my f-stop to f8. Right, then when I meter, it's going to give me a time that would be appropriate for an exposure at f8. So if I came over here and I took a meter reading, it says 25th of a second. If I put it somewhere that is a lot brighter and took a meter reading, now it is saying an 80th of a second, but that is how this bad boy works. Changing between the sun and the other two, if it was in the wrong one, I can hold down mode and cycle through those. Again, we want it to be on the sun. Last thing that we should be aware of is this white ball right here. This is the lumisphere. That will be on a quiz. It can go in and out, right? Retract it. Yours may not be able to retract with a lot of the Sekonics that folks have now. Lumisphere is much smaller and it just slides on or off. This one, I can take it off and put it on. It's important that for what we're doing, the lumisphere is on and the lumisphere really should be out. If you have one where it slides back and forth, make sure that it is slid so that the lumisphere is covering that photo site. Right now it is an incident meter, right? So the light falls on it. That's what it's measuring. With this off, it is not. It is a reflective meter. It would be measuring the light bouncing off of something. So with the lumisphere not covering that sensor, you point your light meter at your subject, right? If I was metering myself, I would be pointing it at me. Not what we want to do. We want to put the lumisphere on there, and then we are putting it where the light meter is basically standing in for our subject, right? So if I'm saying, what's the light falling on this side of my face, I'm taking the light meter, putting it on that side of my face, and measuring it there. Last thing that we have with these is some way of telling it to go ahead and take a meter reading. In this case, it is a button on the side. Yours is probably something similar. So that's the basics of your light meter. You may have some crazy like dip switches, something somewhere. If your light meter is doing kind of what you want it to, then you should not mess with those. Leave them alone. They're fine. Okay, that's a light meter. That's how it works. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we can use our light meter for.